So, welcome to another edition of On My Couch. So, today we're talking about a brand that once you hear it, you definitely won't forget it. It's called Lard Ass Butter. So, the first thing I need to do, Monica, and I'll introduce you in a minute, Sue, I'll introduce you in a minute, but have I pronounced it correctly? Is it Lard Ass or is it Lard Ass Butter?
Yeah, good question. It's whatever you say it to be. So,
Okay,
and in your head, you can spell it the way you hear it. So,
fair enough, fair enough. So, Sue, we've been doing this for a number of years now. Did you ever think we'd start one of these episodes by saying, "Hey, how do we pronounce lard ass?"
No,
No,
absolutely not. And
no,
that means, I think, hopefully, as you said at the start, there'll be a lot more listeners this time because their curiosity will be piqued by the fact of what on earth are they talking about?
correct, exactly. So, we'll talk more about it. And Monica, thank you so much for joining us. It's a fascinating story, but what we're really interested is hearing about entrepreneurship and creativity and how do you build a brand or building a brand and a business from regional Australia. They're the themes that we're looking to discover today. So our guest, Monica Cavarsan, founder of Lard Ass Butter, and what we're keen to do is explore how ideas become a brand. And how do you grow a business outside of a major city, and then also touch on the leadership lessons that you've discovered along the way. So, firstly, some introductions, or what is on my couch. So, my co-host Sue and I started this a number of years ago because we wanted to talk and have really sort of interesting conversations with super smart people, and learn about what they do, and maybe we apply those insights to either our work or sometimes to our personal lives as well. So the intent is to have a great conversation, and then learn some new stuff as well. Introduction, so we should get to that. So my name's Damien. I'm the founder of OMC Group. And what we do at OMC Group is we help people work better together. And we help people achieve more. Ultimately, it's about how do we help people achieve optimum performance. So what we do is things like leadership development and culture and team effectiveness, but the outcome is around optimum performance. So, Sue, maybe you introduce yourself.
Thanks, Damien, and hello, Monica. I've had a career of 30 plus years in retail, property, and marketing, and now have moved on to a more what I would call a portfolio career, which includes some consulting, obviously with Damien, and some board work as well. And as we said at the start, really interested, and hopefully everyone is really curious to understand the story behind the name.
Terrific. Monica, thank you again for joining us. What I might do is maybe get you to start off by, maybe talk to us a little bit about the business. We'll come to your story in a minute, but maybe the specifics of the brand and what is Lard Ass Butter? What are your products? Is it B2B or is it, B2C? And how many employees? Where are you located? So talk us about the business first, and then we'll come into your story.
okay, thanks for having me, Damien and Sue. It's good to be here. What is Lard Ass Butter? It's my passion for good food, and
Mhm.
I fell in love with French butter on a trip to France with the family back in 2016, and what happens on the podcast stays on the podcast. But I ate a block of French butter in one sitting.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
in
wow.
France, yeah. And that's how good it was. Like I would never eat a Western Star or a Devondale like that. Like just wasn't that beautiful and creamy, and it had just the right amount of fat and everything, the flavor. And I thought, oh my God, I would never do this at home. What is it? What's so good about this butter? And that started the journey, really. So, and I wanted to recreate that. And I could probably say I would eat another block of butter, but my butter in one
Yeah.
sitting. So, it's just that passion for artisan that sort of brought about the, lard ass butter.
Fantastic. And then how many varieties of butter do you make?
Yeah, so we effectively make we start with one variety, which is an unsalted fermented butter.
Hmm.
And then, the next step is to salt it or to leave it unsalted. But then the
Yeah.
next step is to create the different flavors. And we currently have 9 different flavored butters that are flavored with real ingredients, not artificial flavors or colors or anything like that.
Yeah, fantastic. And then the business, where's it located and how many employees?
Yeah, so we're located in Ocean Grove. We have a factory there, and
Yep.
that's where we receive the cream, and then, pretty much from there we make everything else. And we currently employ 15 people.
Wow, fantastic.
Hmm.
Cool. Sue, I'll stop asking questions. I'll give you a chance to ask a few questions.
So we started at the start about the name of it was Lard Ass or Lard Ass, and it certainly definitely gets attention. So how did you come up with that name, and what's the reaction that you usually get when people hear the name?
Um, so it's a bit of my sense of humor, warped sense of humor, but it really came about because when you think about butter and it's 80% fat, it was a play on the fact that it's fat. So, and it was like I thought about different names when I came to register the business, and it was, I thought about Ballerine butter, and I thought about
Mhm.
Great Ocean Road butter, and it was like, different names, and it was like, oh, that's so ho hum. This is the first business I've ever run and started,
Wow.
so I wanted to have fun with it, and I have a marketing background, and I've always wanted to have fun with strategies and product development and that sort of thing. So what I was going to start was going to be something that I had already thought about what vision it was going to take in terms of the marketing and promotions and everything to go with it. So when I said I wanted to have fun with it, the name had to be fun as well, and that's how Lard Ass came about, because Lard Ass really depicts, fat, overweight, richness, that sort of thing. And I thought, well, butter is effectively something that can create a larder. So there you have it. I always say to people at farmers markets, I say, oh, it's also a product warning that if you do eat it in one sitting, you might turn into a larder. So you have fun with it. No one has ever said it's a bad thing or I shouldn't be calling it that. I remember one guy had said, "Oh, if you're a premium product, why have you given it such a bad name?" That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you move on from that. And then I think in the 9 years I have been operating, I did get an email at the beginning of this year of someone saying, "I will not be purchasing your products because I find your name inoffensive. I find your name offensive." And I thought, oh my God, this is the first time someone has bothered to to sit down and type this and send it to me and tell me they don't like it. And I was taken aback from it. And I know, it's not for everyone, but I posted that on social media to say, oh my God, in the 9 years that I've been operating, this has happened. And people were so supportive of the name and the business and all that sort of thing. And it got like the most likes of any post I've ever posted in 9 years. So quite fascinating. But yeah, generally 9 times out of 10, it's been well supported. And I find that Aussies have a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
So it sort of resonates with Aussies too.
And so when was that the sort of moment that you realized that it's actually you had broken through when you firstly got some feedback that
Mhm.
was not necessarily positive, but then when you posted it, all of a sudden it went, actually, this is bigger than what I thought. Was that sort of the reaction you were expecting? Is that when you realized, wow, I'm onto something now after 9 years?
I think I think it really just showed, again, going back to Aussies having a good sense of humor. We don't take ourselves too seriously. And that was the idea with Lard. So I wasn't going to take it too seriously about what we did, but I do take the product very seriously when it comes to production. But then when it comes to the name of the product, and it's a fine balance to have a funny name and a premium product. That's, you don't see that very often, but it's a fine balance, and I think I've mastered it. But generally, the customers keep coming back for that product, and that generally is a reassurance that I've got a good product. So I get the repeat customers. I've got the followers, I get the sales. We've been going for 9 years, all that sort of thing is testament to what I do. So, and the consistency is the important aspect underlying this whole business. It's
Hmm.
that you can come back and buy our product and like it. I haven't. Yes, because we're artisan, it does change because we work with the seasons. It's powered by people, not by machines, all that sort of thing. But the hardest thing about running a product-driven business is to maintain that consistency. And I think that's what we're good at. Well, that is testament to our product. So that's really important. So yes, there's the funny name, there's the premium product, but like I say, bringing it together and running it consistently, just shows people, has said to people, this is what we do and this is what we're good at. And people have endorsed it, I think, by liking the post and saying, oh, poo-poo to that person for not liking your name, your product's amazing. And that's effectively what the message was at the end of the day from them. So.
Cool. And you might have already sort of touched on this, but just moving on to talk a little bit more about sort of the differentiation and the storytelling. So, yeah, in a market, and you've used the phrase of, it's an artisan food brand. In addition to the name, I mean, how do you make, Lard Ass Butter, stand out?
The name makes it stand out for sure. That's
Yep.
50% of my marketing. But I've noticed recently now with more, our budget goes towards more marketing because we're sort of no longer a new business. Well, we're not a mature business by any
Mhm.
means, but in the curve itself, in that curve of growth, we're climbing that hill, I guess. So
Yep.
we're able to allocate more of our budget towards marketing and brand awareness. I don't have to say much about my product because, like you said at the beginning of this podcast,
Yep.
people would be curious to know what is Lardas, who would
Hmm.
call their business Lardas, what's that about, that sort of thing. So it is something different, and
Yep.
when you look at your dairy case in your local store,
Yep.
those names are pretty ho-hum, but they've been there for a long time. But you've
Yep.
got Devondale, you've got West Gold, you've got Western Star. They're all sort of names that are synonymous with butter. And then, any new ones that come in, it's not as, I guess, controversial as what Lardas is. So it is controversial as a name.
Yep.
It does break the mold of naming products in dairy
Yep.
too, because I don't know anyone who'd call their butter, fat butter or, cow butter or whatever. Someone said
Yep.
call it lard, no, bum butter or something. And I thought, oh my God, please don't go there. No, fat bum butter. That's right, fat bum butter. And I said, oh
Right.
yeah. But the thing about our name is that we never, ever, and I say this to all the marketing agencies, and that we never are uh, to direct the humor to bottoms and bums and overweight
Mm.
and all that sort
No.
of thing. It's got
Yeah.
Yeah.
nothing to do with that. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to be said. It doesn't need to be spelled out. We just have fun with it.
Yeah. Cool. And then you touched on this a little bit before. Curious, social media. How has that helped you grow?
Yeah, that's a hard one, as much as that's
Has
a
it helped you? Has it helped you grow, or is it the word of mouth? Because I know you do the market fairs, and
yeah.
that was sort of I think that was the hard early days, wasn't it? When you were sort of doing the farmers markets and the like.
Yeah, yeah. The word of mouth has helped a lot. The farmers markets have helped a lot,
Yep.
and the two go together a lot. I don't base my business on the amount of likes I have, and I don't have that many. In the 9 years that we've been operating, I only have about just under 8,000 likes, and then I see the what's out there in terms of social media and what goes viral, and I sort of think, oh my God, how does that go viral? And we make butter and we show people how to make it, and we only
Yep.
get like 80 likes or something. I don't know. I might need to take my top off or something. Who knows? But yes, social media is nice to have, but I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. And so
Okay.
I'm not doing that. That's something I'll tick along with, and I'll try to do it, on a daily basis and stuff like that. But if
Yep.
it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to go home and cry about it. There
Yep.
are other aspects and other tools that we can use to do that. And I do think about brand awareness at all times.
Yep.
But there are still some very effective tools that do better than social media. And I think social media is a very crowded space.
Mm.
I don't have the energy to stand out in that crowd. Like other
Okay.
people have more energy there, and I don't have it. So it's not the
Good.
be all and end all for me.
Okay. Terrific. So I'm going to ask, or do you want to ask a question? You go.
No, no, you go.
Okay. I'll ask one more. What's and this is maybe a hard question, but generally, what do customers say when they try the product for the first time? What's the sort of reaction when you're at the farmer's market or you've got someone that tries it for the first time? What's the reaction?
It's really funny when I watch people because we have a tasting room at our factory too. So people come
Yep.
in and they try it for free. But when we do tastings, the first thing a customer does is smells it. I think it's a really weird thing to smell your food before you eat it. And I don't know what they're looking for, whether they're looking for a rancid butter or a butter that doesn't, I don't know. And I've never asked them, but they taste it. And what they first notice is how creamy the butter is. And
Yep.
that's really good because I can guarantee you whatever you buy at the supermarket today will not be as creamy as our butter.
Yep.
So, because commercial butter is churned in under 1 minute,
Yep.
and our butter is churned in 45 minutes.
Wow.
That process of churning that we do is a slow churn as opposed to the fast churn of commercial butters. And then they mention the butteriness of the butter, and that comes from the natural fermentation process. So we ferment for up to 18 hours
Nice.
in a temperature of 20 degrees. And so that creates just that nice butteriness. And then there's a slight tang of the cultures from the fermentation process, but it's just adds a nice level of complexity. Whereas your commercial butter just has one level of flavor, and that's nothing. Salt, maybe.
It
Fair enough.
sounds like I might
So,
have to go online after this call and buy some to
correct.
taste. Sounds amazing. So, from a point of view, you've obviously based in a regional Victoria, and if anyone doesn't know where you are, so what advantages does that bring, and what are the challenges equally building a business in the region? And then Damien will probably ask you about the people point of view, but I'm guessing that's a really key part of your business strategy as well.
Yeah. Being in regional Victoria, it places us close to the dairy region of Southwest Victoria. So that's good, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have direct access to that because all dairies supply processors, and it depends where that dairy processor is located. So, the trucks go to collect the milk goes to the processor has millions of liters of milk, and then it's to go pretty much across the country or across the span of Australia, as well as exporting that. Okay, so and there are effectively, let's say, maybe you could count all your dairy processors on one hand.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Wow.
so there aren't many, but it's a bit like your banks. There aren't many of the big banks,
Yeah.
but they're big, and that's the same with the dairy processors. Now, we're small, so a lot of them will say, you need to take a minimum quantity of cream because we deal with millions of liters, and it's like, well, we don't need that much. And when I started buying in cream in small bottles and then moved to bladders and then moved to a 1 ton bladder. And that took a
Wow.
period of time. But being located in regional Victoria just, helps with the story. And because my family are dairy farmers as well, I know the process of dairy. I understand cows. I understand seasons and rainfalls and climate change and the effects and all that sort of thing. So that really brings it all together for me, and I
Mm.
watch it closely. There are disadvantages though. If I was living in Geelong, which is half an hour away, if my business was in Geelong, I wouldn't be paying the premiums I pay in transport. So it would make all the difference when I get cream transported in. And it would save me a lot more money. It would save me a lot more money in rent as well. It would be a better pool for employment too, is the other thing. So there are some disadvantages to being located close, because I live in Ocean Grove too, and the factory's 2 minutes away. So that's brilliant. But yeah, in terms of running a business and, you got to factor in the costs all the time and your overheads and everything. These are some of the things I wish I could just pick up the factory and take it to Geelong and plonk it there. And I know life would be a lot different, definitely.
Mm.
Mm.
Sue, do you have another question?
No, no, no. I'm probably going to throw to you now about the people one because
Yeah.
obviously Monica brought that up. So that's an interesting
Yeah, yeah.
perspective as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, you're curious about, as the business has grown. I mean, how, and it sounds like you're actually, super impressive because it sounds like you're quite clear about some of the decisions. That you're very clear about, social media, and that was a great view, and word of mouth and the power of the brand. So I'm just curious about the people side of things, and as the business has grown, as you said, 9 years, 15 people. How are you thinking about the team and culture, and what role does that play in the story and the success of Lard Ass Butter?
Yeah, good question. And, I could write a book about this just on this subject alone because as an artisan butter maker, there aren't many of us in this country, and collectively across the world, there's probably about, let's say 50, I
Right.
reckon. There
Yeah.
aren't many. There aren't many because it's such a labor intensive business. We're
Mm.
very hands on. Yes, we have churns to churn, but then someone has to empty the butter from the churn, and the churn is a cavernous, big, round, bulbous thing that weighs about 4 ton.
Terrific.
And then you have a thousand liters in there going around, around, whipping it. Butter is really heavy too. It's a solid, dense product. It's really heavy. So when I employ people, and as much as we say, listen, it's very hands-on. Butter is heavy. You'll be standing on your feet all day. You're not sitting at a desk or anything like that. People go, yeah, 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 sounds good, love it. I love lard ass, blah blah blah, and then they only last maybe 2, 3 days. They're like,
Wow.
oh my God, this is really hard work, and I'm starting to feel it, in my arms, or I can't stand up for too long. All this sort of thing. So it doesn't matter how well we paint the picture. People just don't realize how labor intensive it is. And it is labor intensive. You need a good degree of physical fitness and things like that. But I'm the other aspect of employing people is that you can't employ a butter maker. You can't put out an ad on Seek and say butter maker wanted because there aren't any. Nobody is a butter maker.
Yeah.
And it's not like you go to the local TAFE college and be trained as a butter maker. In fact, I went to Wisconsin to do a butter maker's apprenticeship.
Oh, wow.
So, because you can't learn to make butter here in Australia. You only learn through YouTube or something like that.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the dairy processors who make their butter commercially, is that they use machines to make butter.
Yeah.
So can you hear that dog?
No, I can't. I can
Oh,
hear a lot of rain going on around me from where I am. So, yeah.
it's raining. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's
And who would have thought it's raining in Victoria? It's very unusual.
farmers are happy,
Yeah,
Damien.
yeah. That's true. That's true. So
Um,
just a quick
yeah.
question. So you went to Wisconsin. How long was that for?
That was for a week, and
Yep.
it was you have to in Wisconsin, you have to do this course so that you can make and sell butter. So you have
Right.
it's a license to do that.
Yeah.
And so and I went to learn that process and everything there because there was nothing here. You could do a cheese course, but you can't do a butter course.
Gotcha. So then in terms of, because, what we do is, how do you get people working better together and the like and being a HR person by trade, you quite often have this discussion that, you're recruiting for skills and experience is really important, but also recruiting for values and behaviors is also equally important. It sounds like for you though that, that you have to recruit for values and behaviors
Yeah,
because people haven't got the skills. So
that's
there,
right.
so therefore, what are the values and behaviours that you're recruiting for then that you're really trying to highlight and recruit and attract?
So interesting story. When I put an ad out there, I asked for a cover letter. Now that's obviously, I'm a product of the 80s, 90s. And we used to write a cover letter to every resume that we did. These days, apparently it's not a thing. Is that right, Damien? You know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a young person, so clearly,
But like you don't have to do a cover letter these days. But anyway, I
yeah,
asked for one, and that goes through that's my process. If you don't submit, and I say if you don't submit a cover letter, you won't be considered.
yeah,
If the cover letter isn't submitted, then because we'll get about 700 applicants submissions for an ad.
wow,
Yeah, and so when they come through, I sort out hey, stop it. I sort out the dogs, the ones that have the cover letter to the ones that don't. It's like that makes life easy. But
yeah.
do you think anyone ever says, I love butter or I have butter on my toast every morning? No, they tell me they've got a forklift license and, they've been a diesel mechanic, all this sort of thing. But no one ever says, oh, I love, even just have one sentence saying, oh, it'd be really good to work in a butter factory, or I really love butter and I think it'd be great to work for a butter factory, or something like that. No, no one ever says that. I think, but when someone does come through and actually says, I really enjoy eating butter and I'm not afraid to eat, whatever, 2 kilos of it a week or whatever. And I
Yeah.
really love your butter and I'd love to work in a butter factory because I enjoy food and making food and that sort of thing. Then that gets my attention straight away because it shows they have a passion
Mm,
making something, particularly food. So following a recipe, passionate about ingredients, passionate about farmers markets, passionate about artisan production and producers.
yep.
It's like, yep, come in, you're hired straight away.
Great.
And
One, one,
that's the
one final,
value.
one final question, and then I'll hand back to Sue. But from a leadership perspective, right? So, what have you learned from a leadership perspective in terms of your style of leadership as you've grown over the last 9 years?
Yeah. I as I don't I generally um when recruiting someone new, it's really a case of I'll let you find your groove and
Yeah.
do you, but follow the standard operating procedures that we have in place. So there's no point me breathing down their neck and watching everything and micromanaging that because they might be quick or they might be slow or they might, focus on different things. As
Yeah.
long as the quality control is there, as long as the attention to detail and, they're able to complete the task in the right amount of time, then, do what you have to do. But I just can't be there to micromanage everyone. We just don't have that time. And then it's also about working together as a team. And at the end of the day, I thank everyone. I thank them. I say, see you later, bye, and thanks a lot, because I am thankful to have them. I
Yep.
couldn't do it. Like I said at the start, we're powered by people, not by machines. So
Love it.
I'm thankful that they've turned up. And that's how it is. That's one of those challenges at the end of the day these days is people turning up, people being accountable, people, meeting their responsibilities and completing their tasks and everything. But I think they need to be thanked for, their efforts because, we do a good job and the team is passionate about, the product, which is great. I couldn't ask for more, to be honest.
Great.
So what are some of the toughest moments so far? Has it been the commercial side of running the business, or is it the people side, or is it about product, supply chain? What's some of the toughest moments that you've gone, wow, I didn't think I could do that, but I've climbed that mountain and I'm now on top.
All of those things you mentioned are tough, Sue, and they're getting tougher for a small business. The it's the mindset's changing of the consumer as well, and it all comes down to price as well. So, there's a lot of problems in the system when it comes to food. So there's a lot of smoking mirrors too, which causes problems. So at the end of the day, we're creating a real product that uses, cream that comes from cows, that changes with seasons, that sort of thing. But ours has a shelf life, and this is an example. Ours has a shelf life of 3 months.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the commercial butters have a shelf life of up to 2 years and
Wow.
claim to be the same product as ours. Now, that cannot be possible simply because it's a perishable. It's made with a perishable at the end of the day, that if unpasteurized will last probably 1 week and being pasteurized will last 3 weeks. Now you tell me what's in that block of butter to last 2 years, and mine can only really have a best before of 3 months and maybe last 6 months. Those sort of things. No one is prepared to question that. No one wants to question that. And people go to Woolies or Coles and don't question anything about their product. But when they come to me and they ask for a discount, I say to them, come into the factory and help me, and then you'll be thinking twice about a discount. That sort of thing. The other thing is equipment. On a small level that we're at, it's hard to get the right equipment to do the right thing, to make the product as best we can. So all of our equipment's imported. And if we were to get Australia to make it, it would cost 3 or 4 times the price. And then the other challenge, people not so much. I think, we're small, we can pivot. So we pivoted through COVID. We'll pivot during this time with the war and everything, and we'll pivot again. And I think that's a really advantageous aspect about our business is being small and being able to pivot, and we could do it overnight. If we have to make cheese, we'll make cheese. If we have to, bottle milk or whatever, we can do it. But yeah, there are just those challenges that the world is so what's the word? Volatile
Yeah.
that it's really hard to navigate and know where to go and how things are going. The farmers is who we rely on, and that is shrinking every day. We're at the beginning of this century, so in 2000, there were something like, well over 1,000 farms, dairy farms.
Mhm.
Today, Victoria alone has, probably 500, 600 dairy farms. And, Queensland has only a handful of dairy farms. New South Wales is shrinking.
Right.
Australia has bugger all dairy farms now. And this is shrinking more and more simply because overheads, The farmers are getting old, so there's no succession. It's getting, costly. They're not getting good value for their product, for their milk and everything. And their land is so expensive, they can sell it tomorrow and live as millionaires.
Mm.
These sort of things. So our government is not behind our agriculture as well as what they should be. And this state alone was built on, dairy farmers. We had about 500 butter factories in this state.
Wow.
There was one in every town, and you still see the skeletons of them. But today, it's just not, it's a shadow of its former self. So
Mm.
those sort of
So,
things.
so what personal qualities that have helped you most as an entrepreneur? What would you say you've had to call on your own personal, putting all the business stuff aside? What have you called on?
Um, I think my I think I think my ability to just not sweat the small stuff
Mhm.
and to go, if someone wanted it tomorrow, it's like, and everyone's panicking. It's like, stuff it. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Let's not break our backs just to make one customer happy. We just can't do it. And if
Mhm.
we lose that customer, so be it. It wasn't that important to them anyway. But there are just some things that we aren't able to complete, whether it's, production shortages or we didn't have enough cream, we didn't have enough butter, whatever. I just am not going to sweat that. It's just not worth it at the end of the day. And to have that work-life balance is so important because my job, I don't work 40 hours a week. I probably work, maybe 70 to 80 hours a week, and because it's my business, it is my passion and it gets me up every morning. But but I still have to have that balance at the end of the day, and so does my team. And so it's sort of like, if come 4 o'clock, you go home. No point working hard because it's just not worth it. At the end of the day, life is more important, your family is important, your pets are important, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it's just having that balance. And I think I've done that. And I do love what I do. And I still love it after 9 years. And I'll love it for the next 9 years. But it will, it will, I think I'll wake up one day and go, okay, that's it. And if that's it, then so be it.
Cool.
Great.
So,
Damien. No,
my
yeah.
turn.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Actually, I think really, I've got a number of different questions, but I'm really, conscious of time. One of the things before I sort of start the wrap up, you're writing a book, you're producing a book. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that before we sort of wrap up the so tell us about the book.
So I have a butter book coming out in October this
Yep.
year. It through Smith Street Books, the
Hmm.
publishers. They reached out last year, and Megan, the publisher, said, "Would you like to write a butter book?" And I thought, "Oh my God, this is like the bucket list of, and this is at the top of the bucket list." But I just didn't know how to navigate or who to turn to or whatever. And they said, "Yep." And they said, "You can either start writing it now," which was, April, May when they reached out last year. Start
Hmm.
writing it now, have it finished by December 2025, and then we'll get it ready for Christmas 2026, or, write it for the next 12 months and have it ready for Mother's Day 2027. And I said, no, 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 let's get this happening. Let's get there. And so I spent every weekend from July through to December, holed up at the factory just typing away. Now, this is a butter book that Australia doesn't have a butter book. It has a book about bread, it has a book about cheese. And there's so many of them, but you cannot find a book about butter written in Australia. So I write about the history of butter in Australia and
Hmm.
the political side of it, the royalty influence of it, the
Wow.
religious aspect of it, and then how to make your own butter. And then there's recipes. There's a cookbook as well with contributions from various people, including Gabrielle Gatte, but also other butter makers from around the world. And there are
Wow.
interviews of other butter makers as well. So
Fantastic.
I'm really proud of that. That's like my fourth child.
Well, we won't ask you who's your favorite, but I think you might have just intimated.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
so. Yeah.
cool. Hey, Monica, thank you so much for today. Great insights. So, if people do want to, sample some of the product, how do they get in contact? Where do they find Lard Ass Butter?
Yeah, so reach out or come and visit us in Ocean Grove. We're
Yep.
in Sykes Place. We're open Monday to Saturday. So the tasting room's open Monday to Saturday, and it's free tastings because we know you'll love it. So it's okay. And then we're at different farmers markets, but we're at the South Geelong Farmers Market every third Sunday.
Yep.
Sunday, every third Sunday of the month. But we're also through regional Victoria and Melbourne as well.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can purchase online.
Oh, you can purchase online.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And the website is?
Is lardass, ass.com.au.
Cool. Terrific. Thank you, Monica, so much. Sue, lots of insights. What was your key takeaway? What has Monica got you thinking about?
So what I really loved about talking to Monica today was that word passion. After 9 years, to still be as passionate and as enthusiastic, working 70 hours a week, I think that's something that is a good takeaway. You've got to love what you do, and if you love what you do, then it becomes your passion, and you obviously enjoy it, and that's really what I can see coming through. I'm sure people can taste that in your butter as well.
Yeah, great insight. Great insight. So, Sue, thank you very much for your time. Monica, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks everyone for listening and watching. We look forward to bringing you another episode of On My Couch. In the meantime, if you want to learn more about OMC Group and the work we do, omc-group.com.au and let's chat. But Monica, Sue, thanks very much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Damien.
Cheers.
Bye.